I need you to throw everything that you think you know out the door. The Wyatt Six have debuted in WWE. We don't know if we let them in, but they kicked down the door and let themselves in. If you're watching Monday Night Raw with us, or if you're watching it in general, we had about a 5-minute ending where the door's there, one comes through, and then we are shown backstage of everything that occurs. It's been weeks and we have been given teasers and QR codes, and we've gone down this rabbit hole trail trying to figure out exactly what it all means, when the Wyatt Six were going to be debuting, and what their purpose is. It seemed we had successfully decoded who each member was, and based on what we saw tonight, looks like we were correct. We have 5 members. There isn't a 6th that we see. As we pan back behind the door and backstage, we were told that we were going to get a massacre, and that is exactly what we got. When we pan back behind the door, we are met with a pile of 3 bodies. 2 that it seemed like I could decipher. One looked like it was possibly Carmelo Hayes, and one looked like it was Gunther. Pan up to the rabbits, and looks like Eric Rowan to me. Keep going through. I had a hard time in this room trying to figure out who everybody was. There was one person with like a tie, button-up shirt, a little bit of like a ponytail or bun, and they were leaned back against the wall. The other one looked like it could have been Dominic Mysterio. I'm not actually sure. The masked person in there, Dexter Lumis. Now, we go through the next door, and we are met with who I believe is Joe Gacy. And the superstar that we find massacred is Chad Gable, before we are introduced to Uncle Howdy himself, who has a little bit of a different look than the last time we were introduced to him. They all rejoin at the front, pick up the lantern. Nikki Cross was the first person to crawl out of the door. Howdy blows out the lantern and says that they're here. What is the purpose of the Wyatt Six? What do they want? The theme in all of the letters and things that we were seeing is that everyone that was a part of the Wyatt Six had been betrayed. And maybe not even just betrayed, but forgotten, treated wrongly, treated poorly. The Wyatt Six has established themselves as a family, that he is their family now. So where do they go from here? What are they going to do? If that was Gunther that they massacred, if that was Carmelo Hayes that they massacred, if it was Dominic Mysterio, if it was Chad Gable, well, that definitely was Chad Gable, they all have some things in common. They've turned on people that they called family. They've treated people that they called family poorly. Gunther just recently turned his back on Giovanni Vinci. Dominic Mysterio notoriously calls his dad a deadbeat dad, turned his back on his own father. Carmelo Hayes betrayed Trick Williams. Chad Gable turned his back on the entire Alpha Academy. In my mind, it's a very specific kind of Shield-esque activism. Who else could they go after? Who else could they target that has that same MO? The Bloodline is one that I think of for starters, because everyone in the Bloodline has basically turned on everybody. But specifically, we have Jay and Jimmy Uso, who turned their backs on each other. We have the discourse within the Judgment Day, or the discourse that could continue within the Judgment Day. I don't know if the Wyatt Six are going to be exclusive to Monday Night Raw, but I kind of doubt it. I think that they're going to be an entity that floats between the two and does their activism and does sneaky shit. I'm extremely happy to see all of them back on, and I'm extremely happy to have something that's a little bit different back on these shows. I'm telling you, you have to throw all logic out the window when it comes to this. Remember that professional wrestling, on top of being an athletic kind of sport, is also a creative sport. Creativity is where his mind will thrive. I have no doubt that Bray Wyatt would have been insanely proud of how they debuted tonight. It was really, really good to hear that music. It was really good to see just the effects of everything and how it played out. Question still remains of there only being 5 present members. Are we going to have a physically present 6th member? Are they going to pull in Braun Strowman in some way? Are we going to see Alexa Bliss? Or is the 6th member just a placeholder? The best thing about this is that we don't need all of the answers right now, and I don't want all of the answers right now. I want to savor every bit of this, and I want to see where it goes and how it weaves into the wrestling landscape that we have had introduced to us for the last couple of years. There was a countdown clock this week after a QR code that premiered at Clash at the Castle. When that clock ran up, it said, "You refuse salvation. We are here. The reckoning is inevitable." I'm sure there is a list of those that need to be reckoned, and I don't know how long it's going to take for all of them to be reckoned. But I, for one, I'm letting them in.